I am aware of how these carriers manipulate the drivers. So hopefully Jeff is going to help you understand a little bit more of the basics of what workers' comp for truckers entails, and you can contact him if you want to know more information, and I will put his contact in this video. So, okay. You can go through the workers' comp system on your own, but if you feel like you're getting jerked around, and most of the people that I've spoken to do feel like that, you should have a lawyer. And I know a lot of people say, well, you can't trust lawyers. Well, I could trust my lawyers. If I did not have them, I don't know what I would have done. I always hear drivers say, well, they're making me do light duty and they're only paying me this much money, and that's not as much money as I was making driving. But you have to understand that you're not entitled to everything that you were supposed to be making driving in workers' comp. You're only entitled in the state of Tennessee to 2/3 of that. But they are supposed to be paying the difference of what you are making doing the light duty and what that 2/3 is. If you are not getting that, that's when you really need a lawyer to get involved. And that is what is very important to understand. Getting your doctor, getting your choice of the at least 3 doctors to choose from. These are some of the things you have to know your rights, because it's your body.
The other very unique thing I want to bring up with trucking is, because if you got injured, you're familiar with our logbooks, and you got injured while you're on your logbook, off duty, not driving, or what have you, how does this scenario play out?
The key is, are you injured in the course and scope of your employment? Now, for myself, at the end of the day, when I get in my car and drive home, I'm not in the course and scope of my employment. And if, God forbid, I was involved in an accident at that time, it would not be a work-related accident. Truckers are different. Truckers are on their truck, they're with their truck, sometimes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 50 weeks out of the year. It's not just you have to be driving down the road from point A to point B to have a work-related injury. There are many examples where you're not driving on the road, you're doing a pre-walk-through inspection of your vehicle, and you get hurt somehow, fall into a hole when you're doing your inspection. That's going to be a work-related compensable claim. There's all kinds of examples that I could give you that just because you're not inside the cab of their vehicle going from point A to point B, that doesn't matter. It's still a compensable injury. Again, every state's unique, but what I would say to the trucker is get your facts in order and call somebody, and call an attorney. And I think most attorneys would agree to listen to the facts and at least give you an opinion of, I think that is a work-related injury, even though, for instance, you may be, on your way to get some food. Truckers are different because they are on the job for such a long, extended period of time that a lot of things are going to be considered to be in the course and scope of your employment.
I know every state is different. There's a lot of laws changing about workman's comp right now. For instance, California has kind of wiped out the system. There's a few. So what we're saying at this point is about related to the state of Tennessee.
Correct.
How would you suggest a driver that does not know even where to begin to find a good lawyer could start looking for one. I've heard of it. One driver who the lawyer just totally blew him off after they were able to get some money from the Arrow trucking that went belly up at Christmas time. He was on workman's comp while at the time he was on workman's comp, and found out he needed a second surgery. His workman's comp lawyer, I guess, got some money out of the surety bond, but then wouldn't return his phone calls, and he still needs more medical. That's not a good lawyer.
Yeah, unfortunately, lawyers are like doctors and truck drivers. I mean, there's good ones and there's bad ones. How do you find the good ones? That sometimes can be a difficult proposition. We don't advertise on television. We get our business strictly by, hopefully, good referral service, good word of mouth. If I've done a good job for a fellow trucker and another trucker has a question, they say, hey, call this guy. He'll shoot straight with you. He'll be honest with you. Most lawyers will do that for you. They'll try to, do a good job. There's obviously bad ones out there. Like I said, there's bad doctors out there. There's bad truck drivers out there.
Mm-hmm.
But most lawyers will try to be fair and do a good service for their clients.
Okay. Well, you've been a good lawyer for me, and you have helped me in so many different ways just by keeping me informed on things that are going on, and you've informed me on things that you didn't need to inform me on to help other truckers, and I appreciate you talking to me today.
My pleasure.
And thank you.
Thank you.
I have seen some drivers try to milk it, their situation. On the other hand, being somebody that has driven a truck, a person that works in an office might think that a sprained wrist isn't qualify as having to take time off work. But you have to use your whole body when you're driving the truck to operate it, to unhook, to bring up the landing gear, to pull the doors open if they're stuck, if the legs of the trailer are stuck. It really takes a lot out of your body. So if you have a broken foot, or you have a broken arm, or a broken wrist, or it does tax you. Maybe if it was one day you had to drive, it wouldn't be so much, it'd be painful. But when you have to drive every single day and you're nursing this wound, and in the long term you're just hurting yourself over and re-injuring yourself, there's two sides to every story. I've met drivers who were involved in a rollover, and then they put them on the Greyhound bus and make them ride across the country when they know they've got a broken clavicle or some other horrible injury that is painful. It's bad enough to ride on the Greyhound bus when you're in you've just experienced a traumatic event, but when you're in severe pain also with your belongings carting along, I know a lot of people have had to abandon everything they had with a horrible injury, and it's just really, you need to plan ahead. Family Medical Leave Act. If somebody else in your family gets hurt or injured and you've got to take time off work. This is outside the scope of workers' comp, but I was asked this question from a driver whose wife had a stroke, and his employer fired him and withheld his wages because he said he needed to stay home to take care of his wife. That's wrong. The Family Medical Leave Act is something that drivers should be aware of if they have got a situation where they need to take time off work so that they know that their job is going to be there. Now, it's not paid time, but at least you know that you have a period of time that you know you're going to have a job when you go back to it. You can find out the guidelines about that. do want to say that we all know what OSHA, occupational safety and health. I've heard of a lot of truck drivers that have made complaints to OSHA and they've done absolutely nothing. There's been zero response. And that's very upsetting, because some of the drivers said they were told to do unsafe things. They were being pressured to do things at work that could cause them great bodily harm. And in fact, one driver said he ended up having to leave his position because he didn't want to get hurt. This is a problem that OSHA's not taking these things seriously, that they're ignoring the truck drivers out there who are being intimidated and pressured to do things that are unsafe at work that could harm them. And that's why more people need to get involved and draw attention to this. There is a war on workers. There's a war on laborers, and the truck drivers are part of that. So bookmark the websites that I put into this video. You don't want to be in a situation where you don't have any medical to cover this injury that's going to stay with you forever.